I'm Parth Gupta. I'm the co-executive director of Windsor Forward, and today is October 19th, and I'm with Councilwoman Linda Geevers and Mr. Joe Charles for our West Windsor 2025 election interview series. So we'll start with an opening statement. We'll do 2 minutes total, and for this you can split that up however you would like.
Okay. Well, I'd just like everyone to know that my husband and I, Neil, we've lived in West Windsor Township for 30 years. We raised our 3 daughters here, and they all went to the West Windsor Plainsboro School District, K-12. When they were younger, I got involved first with being elected to the school board, West Windsor Plainsboro School Board, and that was from 1999 to 2005. After that, I was recruited by Mayor Shea to run with him on his ticket. So I did succeed, and we did win in 2005, and since then I've been elected and re-elected to council. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience, and I also have planning board experience on and off for 9 years while I was a council member.
Hey everybody, Joe Charles. Been in West Windsor for 17 years. My wife and I really love living here. We've got 2 kids in the school district. My daughter's a junior at High School South. My son's in 8th grade at Grover Middle School. Personally, I've been active in a lot of different activities in West Windsor throughout the years. I coached some of my son's youth sports teams when he was younger. Been active in volunteering for one of the youth sports organizations to help raise money and run some of their charity grills for several years. And one of the things we love doing is my wife and I foster rescue dogs. We fostered 15 dogs in the last 7 years, a couple of which we adopted ourselves, and a number of which have been adopted by other West Windsor families. My background's I'm a CPA. I've been with my firm for 29 years. So I bring that finance and accounting experience to the council if I'm elected.
How would you describe the role of a council member in West Windsor's mayor-council form of government? What does this position mean to you personally, and why do you believe you're the best qualified candidates to serve on the council? We'll start with Mr. Charles, and we'll do 1 minute, 30 seconds for each.
Yeah, to me, being on the council, it's about public service, right? It's about doing the right thing for West Windsor's long term for all residents, right? Not just for one group of residents or another. So to me, it's a very serious role. When the mayor asked me if I would run with him, I really had to think about it for a while, right? Because it's a serious time commitment. It's not just something to get your name on on a list or something like that. I'll take that role very seriously. I believe that one of the things we need to do is just have people on the council who think issues through and make good, solid decisions, and that's really what I've been sort of trained to do as a CPA for the last 29 years. So I think I can really bring that to the council effectively.
Well, I've been on council 20 years, and the form of government in West Windsor is the Faulkner Act. So it's strong mayor council form of government. The mayor is the executive branch, and the council is the legislative branch. So our main responsibility is at the budget, the annual budget, to review that. We receive it at the end of February. And then we usually have about 3 meetings that are open to the public. They are taped, broadcast live. Our other responsibilities are with ordinances. So we introduce ordinances, we hold a public hearing. We also do resolutions. So those are the primary responsibilities of council. And we also serve as liaisons to various committees in the township. So I've served on those like committees, Affordable Housing Committee, the Shade Tree Commission. I've been on the planning board on and off. So you get a feel for a lot of different activities and boards and commissions and the work that they do.
Looking back at the last 4 years, how would you assess the township's direction? What letter grade would you give the current administration's performance? Are there any successes or missteps that justify that grade? And we'll do 30 seconds each, starting with Ms. Geevers.
Yeah, I would give us an A, because we're constantly growing in this township. We're constantly addressing change. And the mayor served for many years on the school district, school board. I did too. And so we have that knowledge and those experiences because we're constantly dealing with growth. Growth is from Old Trenton Road to the train station to Route 1 is coming in. And this residential housing is coming in because of the affordable housing regulations for the third round. Fourth round starts July 1st. So that's constantly what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I would give a grade of an A. I've seen firsthand how hard the mayor works, how much he cares about the town and the effort and time that he puts in and the knowledge that he's accumulated from all his experience over the years. There's a lot of challenges, right? We've got state mandated obligations for affordable housing. So it's not like we can just tell developers, that we're not going to build here and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of challenges. And I think the mayor and the council have done a great job with those last 4 years.
In West Windsor's government, the council serves as a check and balance on the mayor's administration. Can you describe your philosophy on this relationship and when, if ever, you would vote against a proposal from a mayor? 1 minute each.
Well, we work collaboratively with whoever is mayor. I've worked with Mayor Shea and I've worked with Mayor Marate, so both wonderful mayors, hardworking, dedicated to West Windsor Township. So when there's differences of agreement, oftentimes we could talk about that publicly at a council meeting. Other times we have a good relationship. I always had a very good relationship with both of them to talk things through, like, yeah, I really support this, or I think we need to tweak this a little bit more. And also we listen to the public too.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know the mayor until a little over a year ago. The reason I met him is I became involved with the effort to keep our town's elections nonpartisan, right? So I ended up working very hard on that, ended up becoming the vice chair of Keep West Windsor Nonpartisan, that effort, and we prevailed by a 2-to-1 margin, which was, I think, really important for our town. So some people have implied, I'm always with the mayor and all this thing. I didn't know him until fairly recently. And I would say it's our job as council people, right, to study issues, come to our own conclusions, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And if I disagree with the mayor, then I disagree with the mayor. I'm not here to be a rubber stamp for the mayor or frankly for anybody. I'm going to think through things independently and thoughtfully and reach my own conclusions. And they could be different from the mayor. And if so, I'll let them know and work through those things with them.
With that nonpartisan campaign from last fall, Joe was the co-chairman of that. We worked very, very hard. That was a full-blown campaign. And we went door to door and we spoke with a lot of residents, and the residents told us that they didn't want the partisan politics from Washington down to the state level to the local level to proceed. What was important was what matters here in West Windsor at the local level.
Residents want to know how you'll address their concerns. What concerns/improvements would you prioritize in your first 100 days in office? What do you hope residents will be able to say you've done by April of next year? We'll start with Mr. Charles.
Yeah. So the biggest long-term concern, I think, is managing residential development. That you asked for short-term concerns. I think some of we've been knocking on doors. We've been holding events in people's homes, open houses. We've talked to a lot of people. I think some of the shorter-term things that we can do and bake into the next budget are, improving streetlights in certain areas, right? That costs money, so that will come at the expense of something else in the budget. But I think years ago people moved to West Windsor because they wanted to be not in the city, not an urban environment, right? But I think improving street lighting, increasing the budget for sidewalk repairs, which technically the resident is responsible for that, but there's a lot of demand for that. People want it. So that's another thing we've talked about increasing the budget for. I think my time's up, but those are just two quick hits. Yeah.
Well, the council we reorganize each year, and it'll be January 15th. So the mayor gets sworn in, council people, who are newly elected get sworn in too. So you're close to getting right into budget season. So the mayor administration right now are preparing the budget for the 2026 year. End of February, council will receive it. We'll then typically have 3 public meetings. They may start at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They are broadcast live on YouTube, rebroadcast live. We take public comment. So it's a very open process. All the materials are on our township website. You have the operating budget, you have the capital budget, and we interview all of the department heads. They come in and give us materials on the former year, which will be 2025, what worked, what didn't work, and then 2026 goals and objectives. And so we have to review all of those materials.
Looking long term now, residents are looking for a leader that will make meaningful, proactive improvements to our town. What are your long-term goals for the township, and what would success under your leadership look like for the residents of West Windsor 2 and 4 years from now? It'll be 1 minute each, and we'll start with Ms. Geevers.
Yeah, I think the long-term goals is that we're trying to manage the growth that comes in. And we're trying to do that in a fiscally responsible way. So over the past 8 years, the Marate administration and the council, since the council approves the budgets, we've kept tax increases to a minimum. Some people don't understand when they get their tax bill, they think that the mayor and council are responsible for the school district budget and the county, and we are not. We are only responsible for 14% of the tax bill, which is for the municipality.
To me, the biggest long-term strategic issue is managing residential growth, right? Now, New Jersey's state laws are fairly tilted towards developers and development, right? So every 10 years, for example, the state gives, allocates a number to every town in New Jersey for the number of affordable housing units, right, that town needs to build. A lot of the development that people see, people ask, why has all this development gone up in recent years? A lot of that was approved, many years ago to meet the last round of affordable housing obligations. We've got another round that starts from 2025 to 2035, right? The state gave us a number of 661 affordable units. Developers don't want to build all affordable units because it's not profitable for them, right? So we have an ordinance that says, the developer will build 25% affordable units, so basically a 3-to-1 ratio. So for every affordable unit, they could build 3 market units. The challenge is managing that number. Some towns just took the number the state gave them. Our town, I think, did the right thing. They didn't just take the 661. The planning board, the mayor went through it, analyzed it, said that number should be lower. The judge gave an initial number of 480. It's in court now, so the good news is it'll be something less than that 661. So to me, that's the biggest thing: how we can create more open space, preserve open space, and do other things to take open land off of the market.
The most controversial topic recently in West Windsor has been the topic of warehouses, spurred by a boom in online shopping and development obligations. We want to get your brief recap of the timeline of the Howard Hughes site specifically, and how we got to the current stage we're in now. 7 warehouses approved by the Township, awaiting county and state approval. We'll have other questions on this topic, so this will just be a recap. 30 seconds each, and we'll start with Ms. Geevers.
Well, there was litigation, okay? So it turned out, to make a very long, complicated issue, is that the developers wanted housing on that property, and we did not. Housing would have been upwards of 2,000 residential units. So you can imagine that would have created the need for another school. A lot of traffic, a lot of cars, and we said no. They wanted warehouses. We changed the zoning. It's a planned commercial development now. So that's what they wanted. This is what we wanted, and we came together on that. It was a settlement agreement.
Yeah, I mean, look, it would be great if a lot of the property could just be preserved as open space, which actually the current plan does. I think, keep a couple hundred acres as open space, but you had a private developer that was looking to build 2,000 homes on that property, right? Which would have been a big tax increase for everybody because the new residential development doesn't pay for the schools, and you'd have all that traffic coming into town. So I think, the warehouse was an alternative, right? Some of these things are about alternatives and choices. That was an alternative acceptable to the developer at the time.
Considering that West Windsor residents move about the region and not just the township, how would your administration plan to address the community's concerns in both West Windsor and our surrounding towns about the Bridgepoint 8 project, considering potential negative impacts on traffic, infrastructure, and quality of life, and potential positive impacts like rateables? How can residents independently verify the data on things like rateables and traffic? We'll start with Mr. Charles, and we'll do 1 minute.
Yeah. So one of the things on traffic, right, one of the big concerns was traffic coming into Clarksville Road. And if you look at the planning board, final document that they went through to approve the plan, the planning board put, I think 80 or 82 conditions on the project, right? Which are required for the project to move forward. One of those conditions is that the trucks will not be able to turn on the Clarksville Road and come into town, right? So I think a lot of people may not be aware of that, but it's documented in the final planning board document. So, when we talk about traffic, right, there'll be an outlet to Quaker Bridge Road and Route 1. The logical place where the trucks are going to go is out there, and then to the highway interchange south of there. So I think that's the single most important thing with respect to traffic that I think a lot of people may not be aware of.
You're getting traffic from all over, right? Because everybody's developing. Each town has their own obligations for affordable housing, and there's a rateable chase, right? You see Costco on Quaker Bridge Road, and you can go right down the road, and you see a lot of commercial retail going on there, all the way to the mall. So we need rateables too, to make it more affordable to live here. It's on the far end of town. So in terms of traffic and flow, those things are usually dealt with at the planning board level. And there is, as Joe said, like 82 conditions that have to be met. So once the planning board approves something, the conditions must be met before they will get the go ahead to start getting a shovel in the ground and building it.
The warehouse issue is largely a zoning issue, and the council is responsible for zoning ordinances. What specific changes, if any, would you propose to West Windsor's zoning code or master plan? 1 minute each, starting with Ms. Geevers.
Well, we want to get a balance between the residential and the commercial. I think that's important, and I know that the Bridgepoint 8 properties, as most people call it, there will be some open space areas in there because there's wetlands areas, so you can't build on the entire piece of property. So you want to get that balance of building. You want paths for people to have recreational opportunities, riding a bike and walking, and different things. And we've also had zoning for like parks. We've made improvements at Community Park, Duck Pond Park. And we have parks in different areas so that everyone doesn't have to cross town to go to one park. And so we try to get that balance in town.
Yeah, I think from a planning perspective, I think, one of the important things we need to focus on is preserving open space, right? So the town has a list of properties that are on its open space list, right? So, that allows us, if the property comes up for sale, the town has the ability to buy it or to condemn it and buy it at fair market value from the owner. So I think that's something important that will allow us to, continue to preserve open space into the future.
And the township is approximately 51% open space. We have an open space tax, so we use it as properties on our list become available. Then the administration would negotiate that and then bring it to council to purchase.
As you know, property taxes are top of mind for most residents. What is your specific plan for the municipal portion of the tax rate? And how would you fund services and infrastructure improvements with or without raising it? 1 minute, 30 seconds, starting with Mr. Charles.
Yeah. Linda touched on this a little bit earlier, but the municipal portion of your people's property taxes are only 14 or 15% of the total bill, right? A lot of people don't realize that until we explain it to them, right? They just see their bill and think it all goes to the township. 15% municipal. You've got, between 25 and 30% goes to the county, and then between 55 and 60% goes to the school district, right? Those budgets are set by those bodies, right? So the county budget is set by, the county executive and the county board of commissioners. Town has no control over that. Same thing for the school district. The mayor and council don't have any control over the school budget. That's the school administration and the school board. So when you look at the increases in your property taxes for the last 6 or 8 years, virtually all the increase is coming from the county and the schools, right? Your municipal tax is barely budged in that time period. And so I think we've done a good job with being fiscally responsible. I think some of the things that our opponents have proposed, right? You know, they propose more spending, but they don't say what they're going to cut to pay for it, right? That's the challenge with budgets.
As I said before, each year we have a very open budget process. So you have to, the ways, the pros and cons. One year you may spend a little bit more on this. Next year the priority shifts. So within the budget, you know, the numbers can move. And then you got inflation and different costs that go up. A lot of projects that people have been mentioning to us, well, one is that they want to see more street lights. That's an operating. So in 2020, the budget in the operating budget was $400,000 for street lights, and in 2025 it's $475,000. So we are most likely going to up that. We're going to at the very least have that discussion, because as we've gone from neighborhood to neighborhood and talking with people, they want to see more lights at night because the township is relatively dark. And in the capital budget, you know, sidewalk improvements, fixing the sidewalks, we encourage people, if you have a township tree and that's uprooting your sidewalk outside, please call the engineering department, community development, and get on the list, because there is a program where the township will come and fix that.
Looking back at the most recent municipal budget that the council voted on, what is one specific addition you would have advanced for, or one specific reduction you would have proposed, and why? 1 minute, 30 seconds each.
I think with one thing that we need to do a little bit better on is our website. So there might be some costs with improving to make our township website a little bit more interactive. There's problems that come up with trees needing to be pruned, or sidewalks needing to be replaced. So instead of like having to call in about the sidewalks, if they could just somehow go on our municipal website and then they get signed up that way. So there's different things, different tweaks that we see. I think our road improvement program for the residential roads is going to need to have more money put in that, because a lot of developments in town are 30, 40 years. And the roads, you know, you see the cracking and you know, minor potholes, but you know, the wear and tear, it's time. So I think that's something that's going to be addressed in the 2026 budget. And we already do that. People should understand, if they look at the capital budget, we've been doing this on an annual basis, but I'm hearing more in this election cycle to put more money in towards the roads.
Yeah, I would say roads, sidewalks, and streetlights would be three areas where we, you know, look to increase the budget. When it comes to decreases, you know, I think one thing we need to take a look at is just some of our, you know, processes and procedures, and is there a way to use technology and AI and other things, right, to gain some more efficiencies that could allow us to cut some costs. You know, one thing that has been brought up is our opponents brought up that there used to be twice a week garbage collection in the summer, right? And they've suggested that should have continued. Well, if you look at the reason why that was done, our contract with Waste Management was up. The garbage company 5-year contract. We went out to bids for new 5-year contracts. We got bids from a couple companies. There was going to be a substantial increase no matter what, right? Even just going to once a week garbage pickup for the 3 months in the summer, that was, you know, I think a 30% increase. It was going to be another 30 or 35% on top of that, right, to maintain twice a week garbage pickup. So you're talking about, you know, close to $1.2 million over the 5-year period, right? So I think the mayor and council, you know, this was open to a public hearing. Council voted unanimously on it. I think that was the right decision to save that $1.2 million. You're talking about, you know, each year, you could hire two police officers and have money left over for other safety improvements and things like that, right? So that's a kind of example where it may not be the most popular thing, but our town made a smart decision, and you know, our opponents are attacking it without offering any alternative as to what they would have cut.
The bids come out, we do it every 5 years. So they can, you know, in 5 years they can go out to bid, and they could still ask for a second one and see how the bids come in. But for now, no.
As West Windsor has rapidly grown in recent years, residents frequently talk about the condition of our roads and traffic congestion. What is your plan to systematically improve our roads and alleviate traffic hotspots? and we'll do 30 seconds each, starting with Mr.
Yeah, as far as improving, we mentioned, increasing the budget for roads. The engineering department posts on their website a rating for each road. There's a study that's done every several years, right? Where a firm goes around and scans every road, rates it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. That's all posted on the website. If you want to look at your road, you can look up your road. You can see it on a map and see the score. The roads are going to get repaved based on the order of the highest scores, right? So the focus is on the roads that need it most, which is the appropriate way to do it.
Right. And the residential roads in the neighborhoods, we've been spending $1.25 million per year. I don't think that's enough money. We're going to have a serious discussion with our engineer in the fall, next spring, I should say. Yeah.
Another topic that comes up often is safety. There's a growing desire to make our town more walkable and bikeable, with organizations like the West Windsor Bicycle and Pedestrian Alliance leading the charge. How would you create a more connected and safer network for pedestrians and cyclists, and would you increase funding/efficiency for these projects? Starting with Ms. Geevers, 1 minute each.
Yes, Township works very closely with the West Windsor Bicycle and Pedestrian Alliance. They often have tours of different areas. We were out on Edinburgh Road a couple of weeks ago, looking at a project that the county was doing to have some more road safety. I think things are going to change because the way the county designed it, this county road, it's not working out as well as we had thought. But we have a good working relationship with the county and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Alliance. So a lot of these projects, though, for our West Windsor roads are in the capital budget. So crosswalk improvements for safety, that's important. Flashing beacons, that's important. We also often look at speed limits. The speeding around town has been an issue. And I think if the residents could just slow down and think, not be in such a rush. I'm getting too many complaints, and there's even people within neighborhoods that are speeding, and then they're contacting us, and we do let the police know when that comes in, and they have visibility and sometimes put signs out for, showing your speed. So we work with the police department, and they're out there working with the citizens.
Yeah, so one thing that you're going to see fairly soon is the mayor and council worked with the county to finally push through, final approvals for improvements on Route 571 between the train station and the high school. So there's some pictures of what that's going to look like, but now you're going to have continuous sidewalks on each side of the road, which don't exist now. You're going to have bike lanes on each side, which don't exist. And you're going to have a 3-lane road with a turning lane in the middle. So those are some things you're going to start seeing pretty soon. Me personally, I've met with several folks, sat down, had several hours with several folks from the Bike and Ped Alliance, heard a lot of great input from them, heard a lot of great ideas. I was with Linda at the Edinburgh Road area where the county engineer came out. We had a chance to speak to the county engineer about bike path and some of the projects that he was working on. So looking forward to a lot of those in the future.
What is your assessment of our current public safety services, our police, fire, and EMS? And do they have the resources they need to keep our community safe? 30 seconds each, starting with Mr. Charles.
Yeah, I think we have a very safe community. I think our police department does a fantastic job. I actually sat down with the chief of police a couple weeks ago to talk to him about traffic safety and talk to him about some of the things the police department is actually doing a lot of things. People may not see it all the time. But they do a lot of that. I know a lot of the folks that, run our volunteer fire organizations. I've had a number of conversations with them. There's going to be some things that, they need more of. But overall, we live in a very safe community, and we've got outstanding police, fire, and EMS services.
Right. I mean, one of the top priorities always, whether it's our township or any township in the nation, is public safety. The mayor is public safety director by ordinance. I'm a fire police officer with the West Windsor Volunteer Fire Company. That's something that you have to earn. You have to do a lot of coursework on that. So I wanted to learn more about public safety and how it works. So as a fire police officer, we go out on calls, down wires after a storm, poles are down, branches down, different things. We put out the cones. We assist the police to help them because other emergencies can happen at once, not just one emergency, but you might have to go to the other end of town. Calls come in. So definitely, it's always a top priority. We have paid professionals, and we have 2 volunteer fire companies, 43 and 44, and they're all take the same training, so they're all professionals, and I'm proud of them too.
Would you support implementing a 311 style system or app for resident service requests such as potholes or broken township equipment to improve communication and efficiency? 30 seconds each, starting with Ms. Geevers.
I think it's certainly something that can be discussed. We haven't discussed that specifically yet, but anytime that we can increase communication and make things easier for people to do that. We do have on potholes, on the township website, you can go online and report that. So I think other problems that come up, we can do more in that.
Yeah, I think it's something to be looked at. People are getting more used to using apps these days, right? Although, some people prefer to, call in or go in person and report things. So I think it's something to be looked at. The question to me is, cost benefit analysis, right? What's it going to cost to deploy this and administer it versus how many people will use it and what benefits we'll get from it. So I think it's something to be looked at further.
The council is responsible for advice and consent on the mayor's appointments to boards like the planning board.
No.
What
Not the planning board. That's
Okay.
the mayor,
Okay.
just the mayor.
What criteria would you use to evaluate these appointments? 1 minute each.
Right, well, everyone can apply, right? You have a volunteer form that you can get through our website. You can fill it out, and there's a lot of boards and committees listed, and you can check off more than one, whatever you're interested in. You can check off everyone, or if there's just one board or commission you're interested in, you can do that. That goes into the clerk's office, and then it's distributed. Zoning board and the parking authority, the council decides. The planning board, the mayor decides, and the rest we give advice and consents, and we vote on that. So you just look if there's common backgrounds, see if there's a nice fit there, see the level of interest. Sometimes talk to the residents, like why do they want to do this, and just get a sense of where they want to go. But it's open to all the residents. I encourage people to volunteer.
Yeah, I think that clearly the most important thing is looking at the people's qualifications, right? Understanding what are they going to bring to the table, for a role. And I think the important thing is making sure we have diversity of thought, right? And so it's not just, not just putting people on different boards that just all think the exact same way, right? I think having people that are going to offer different perspectives, right? Which could be a lot of different things, right? It could be, people that live in different parts of town or just have different views on things or different perspectives. I think, hearing from a lot of different people, right? As we go out and go door to door, we hear a lot of different perspectives. And I think that's really helpful for me, if I'm elected to council, to be able to take those differing viewpoints. And I think that's the kind of things we need on our boards as well.
You will see that, particularly zoning board, planning board. You could have someone who's an attorney with a legal background, someone who's an engineer, community leader. So you get, as Joe says, you get that. You want to get that mix of thought.
How would you handle a disagreement with your fellow council members? And are there any items where you deviate from your running mates? 2 minutes total, 1 minute each. We'll start with Ms. Geevers.
I think a lot of times you have communication. You get to know one another on council. And I've had many, many council members over the years. They serve a term or two. They go, somebody else new comes in. So it's just, you go out for coffee, get to know one another. If you have a good relationship, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything, because you don't. That's just the way it is. You're not going to agree on 100% on everything. But to have a good relationship and to talk through issues and to learn from somebody else's experiences, then, coming in new, and they can learn from your experiences if you've been on council a while, just as myself. I think it works very smoothly.
Yeah. Of course, different people are not going to agree on everything, right? Like I said earlier, right? I'm an independent thinker. We all think for ourselves. When the three of us completed our responses to the local newspaper, right? The West Windsor Plainsboro Community News, we each wrote our own responses, right? And I think that's important because our opponents, they just had one monolithic response for the three of them. And honestly, I don't know if any of them actually wrote any of it themselves, right? We all sat down, wrote our own responses. We didn't write them together. We shared them with each other briefly, but at the end of the day, it was all our thinking, right? So we're not always going to agree on everything. Just going through the campaign, right? We may not agree on something, right? We may argue about should we post this on Facebook or what should we put in our next mailer or advertisement, right? So we have pretty healthy debates on those things, and right, the way we resolve them is, all right, we have weekly meeting, we get together, we sit in a room, and we hash it out, right? So it's not, and sometimes one person's view may, sort of prevail, sometimes a different person's view, but that's how we get together and work through those kind of things.
Residents, particularly young residents, are concerned about climate change and are wondering what our town can do to preserve open space and protect our environment. What is your vision for balancing the preservation of our beautiful open spaces with the enhancement of our parks and the promotion of environmental sustainability? 1 minute each, starting with Mr. Charles.
Yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about the town's open space list and how that's a big priority. One example of that, some folks have criticized the relatively small warehouse that's on 571 right at the border of East Windsor. If you look at that project, right, the developer was looking to build almost 600 high-density homes there, right, which would have a significant impact on traffic coming into town, schools, your property taxes. The warehouse takes up a much smaller footprint, right, than that development would have taken up. I've got pictures on my phone, can't really show them here, but basically, as a result of that, there's 25 acres of farmland. If you drive by there, you'll see a cornfield right now. There's 25 acres of farmland that have now been preserved and will stay as farmland and are now, as part of that whole thing, on the town's open space list so that the town can buy them in the future as preserved open space. So that's one example where, our opponents seem to have a different view. They haven't offered what their plan would be, but we made the right decision. We made the smart decision there.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoy the open space in town and the development of the parks too. So that's good. People need places to go, play basketball, play tennis, play pickleball, play cricket, football, baseball, everything. So I think a lot of people in the community really enjoy that. They have the open space tax to preserve space so that that's not always developed land for more residential units coming in. Few years back, the Hall property on Village Road East, we had learned that it was going to be another tolled development. I think it was going to be around 400 townhouses. And when we realized that, we're like, no, we got to buy this property. So long story short, we took a lot of measures and we wound up negotiating a price for that property, and now it's open space. And that's the way it will remain.
What kind of development would you like to see in West Windsor? Which types of houses, restaurants, and businesses should residents expect to see, and how will you attract that type of development? 1 minute each, starting with Ms. Geevers.
Oh, there's a lot of commercial development going on around Route 1. Market Fair has developed. Eddie V's is a new restaurant. I would call it a high-end restaurant, but it's right around the corner from some of the other restaurants there, Seasons 52. Foco de Chao is coming across Route 1. It's in the area of Market Fair, but on the other side of Route 1. We have, hotel development. So yeah, you want to put it in different areas of town so that everyone doesn't have to go only to one end of town. But I think it's going very well. The developers are coming in. They want to come here. That's good. It's a Rateable. It's another place to go out to eat or more shops. So it's been healthy business-wise.
Yeah. There's an AI hub that opened in West Windsor on the other side of Route 1. So businesses in that space would definitely be something as a possible growth area. I think we have done a good job of attracting small businesses to town. When I moved here, the area on Route 571 across from where Worry Mart is, right? It used to be an Acme back in the day, but there was a lot of boarded up buildings there. People would call it Plywood Junction instead of Princeton Junction. You look at that area now, right? A lot of that has really been redeveloped. You've got a lot of small businesses that are in there. There's a fencing Class. There's Jersey Mike's. There's a number of businesses that have come in there and are going to continue to come in there. So I think attracting those small businesses, has been a focus of the township government here, and that's something that I think we'll continue to focus on.
Yeah, and in that area of town on Route 571 there, the idea is when the properties are sold is to bring the development closer to the sidewalk. So you want a walkable street experience there. And the road's going to be redesigned. It's a county road there, 571. So it's going to look nice. You can already see the changes, but it's property by property. You're not starting with an open cornfield. So the old buildings get knocked down, they bring it closer, so it's more walkable and safe.
Yeah. On that point, many residents share a vision for a more vibrant town center, a main street for West Windsor, mostly our downtown as 571 around the train station area, but hope to see further development of that area as a walkable area with diverse local options. Do you believe that this is a feasible goal? And if so, what is your plan to make it a reality? 1 minute each, starting with Ms. Geevers.
Yeah, it's a feasible goal. The train station development there has 30,000 square feet of retail that can come in. So that project right now is a 20-year project in the making. So that's what's planned for there. Along, as we just discussed, along 571, the Windsor Plaza Shopping Center. It used to be an Acme, there, and it was just so run down. But now it's a lot of different businesses in there, a lot of food businesses, bakeries, pizza, Al John's, dry cleaners, bank. So it has a lot of services and food places that people want. So it's going good. It's going good.
Yeah. We talked about it a little bit earlier, right? But the project that we finally got the county to push forward to put sidewalks on both sides, right? It's in bike lanes. It's going to be much more walkable, much better. There's the old broken down school bus garage that's on the corner at Wallace and 571, right? That's going to be torn down. There's going to be some green space and parking there, and a spot that can be used for, community events and things like that. So that's a big improvement that's coming. There's also in the Ellsworth Plaza, right on the other corner there, there's in the back of that, right, where there's a couple of old abandoned buildings that have been there, I think, since long before I even moved in. 17, 18 years ago. Those are going to be torn down. There'll be some apartments that'll go in there. So I think that whole area is going to be much more, walkable, and then combine that with some of the new small businesses that are moving in or will move in, as I mentioned before. I think that's definitely big improvements that are coming.
Yeah. We're trying to get rid of the eyesores. So the parking authority is doing a great job of working with them. And they'll go for some grants because there's some cleanup work that needs to be done there. And then certainly behind the Ellsworth property, that's separately owned. It's a different owner. So that will bring in some more rentals with affordable housing obligations going in there. But the building there, it's the part of an overall town center concept, and with more people there, then they can walk and they can support the businesses that are there.
Our library is a vital resource run by the county. However, many feel that our library is in a space modern, large, or centrally located enough to support our students and our community. Do you have a vision for improving our local branch, perhaps by collaborating with the county, or exploring a township-run model like Plainsborough's successful library/community center? 30 seconds each, starting with Ms. Hughes.
The library is a county-owned library. The land is West Windsor. And there needs to be improvements in there, no doubt. I mean, there needs to be physical improvements just with the roof. The roof was leaking and the carpeting has been replaced and different things. So that's all going to happen with the county. They have to come in there and decide how to fix up that building. And it's unfortunate that, like in West Windsor, we have capital budgets. We have money that we put aside for each building each year. Apparently, they were not doing that. I'm hopeful with the new administration that things will change because I have talked to Dan Benson, the county executive, about that. So they should review, how it's being used, and they should poll people who use it and what recommendations they feel should change because they're the people that are there and want to use it.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I think working with the county right, on improving the library is the right answer. We already pay a lot of tax to the county for the library, right? I don't think that building our own, library probably makes a lot of financial sense. I'm, willing to listen to that and see that. That's kind of my general philosophy. I would also say, Plainsboro does have a community center. We have a senior center, which a lot of towns don't have, right? So that's an important resource to a lot of people in town that, West Windsor is invested in.
We have some closing questions now. So in the spirit of a healthy debate and to clarify the choices for voters, if you could ask your opponent or opponents one question, what would it be? And one question from each.
Why did they decide to run? And why haven't they participated in any boards or committees in this township? That is probably one of the things that most people have picked up on. What have they done in the past for West Windsor?
I would ask a couple things. I'd say, what's their plan, right? They've been critical of some of the things that the mayor and council have done, but they haven't offered any clear alternatives. And when people ask questions to them on social media, instead of answering the questions, they blocked people. Okay, so they blocked me. They blocked a lot of other just regular people who are asking questions. Why aren't they engaging with people? You're running for public office. You got to be able to talk to people and listen to people. I've not blocked anybody on social media, and I certainly will never do that.
To end on a personal note, what is your favorite single thing about West Windsor?
I love West Windsor because there's so many different things to do for people of all ages. If you're a senior citizen, you can go to the senior center. It's a wonderful operation over there. You can have lunch over there if you want. They have a lot of different programs. We have wonderful schools in this town. And I was part of the West Windsor Plainsboro school system and had 3 children go through it and was a school board member. I love the parks and recreations and the facilities because people want to exercise. They want to join teams, and for people of all ages. So there's really something for everyone in this town. We're a very dynamic town, so I'm proud of that.
My favorite thing is the sense of community and all the friends that we've made and connections in town, right? We moved here, we didn't know anybody here, right? And like a lot of people, we met a ton of people through our kids, right? So we've got a lot of great friends in town that are, our other kids' parents or neighbors down the block. We have an amazing, diverse community, right? We've got friends that are, from all different ethnicities and religions. To me, West Windsor is a great melting pot, but absolutely my favorite thing is just all the long-term friendships and connections we've made with a lot of great people in town.
What is your favorite restaurant in West Windsor?
There's a lot of good options. I would say, one of my favorites is Al John's. We're friends with the owners there. They do a phenomenal job of staying involved with the community. I've been stopping at Al John's. We've been out running around knocking on doors, and I've been stopping there every weekend to make a quick pit stop and refuel myself a little bit. So I think Al John's is a great pillar of the community here.
And there's so many different things. If you want breakfast, PJ's Pancake House. There's Al John's. I like their eggplant parmesan dinner. If you want other fancier type of lunch dinner, Seasons 52, Eddie V's, great fried calamari platter there. It's delicious. A lot of cut up peppers and different things. So it's all over town. So it's great. There's a lot of options. There's no one single place. It's just a matter of time of day, what you feel like eating, and you can get great meals.
And finally, what does a perfect weekend spent entirely in West Windsor look like to you?
Perfect weekend for me. I would, get up on Saturday morning, push my kids to get out of bed. Sometimes they like to sleep in on the weekends, and we take the dogs for a hike. We have two dogs that we, have adopted years ago. Take them on a hike to one of the trails around town. Then I would come home. One of my hobbies is smoking meats. I don't have much time to do that nowadays, but if I had, perfect weekend, if I had time, sit out by the smoker, watch a baseball game on TV, and invite some friends over for a nice evening and a nice dinner. So that would sort of be my perfect, sort of Saturday.
Yeah, I like to walk. I think exercise is very important. So whether you do it, say, at a community park or whether you do it on your block, just get out there and exercise. It's always wonderful being with family. And now with this, in September, we welcomed our first grandchild. So I'll be pushing the stroller a little more, getting out and exercising. And also, I think, you know, it's family. It's always, we're very family-centered type of town. Celebrate each other's holidays, gatherings, and it's just such a warm feeling here in West Windsor.
And that concludes our interview. Thank you to both of the candidates for your time. And if anyone watching wants additional resources, you can find them at westwindsorforward.org.
Okay, thank you, Parth.
Thank you, Parth.